and science. Well, let's touch on one of the things the professor was mentioning there, this idea of an Asian space race. We can take you to the world's newsroom now and join Lebu, who is there for us. It's an interesting one, isn't it? How the reaction has been in India, Lebu, but also in China too.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we're joining you now from the BBC language services, which are on the 5th floor here at New Broadcasting House. And this is what we're talking about, the Mars orbiter mission that blasted off. We've had literally hundreds of comments on our Facebook page. Just to give you a few of them, Vareen in India says this is a really great achievement and really, really proud of the Indian scientific community. We've got Daniel Sims from the UK who says it looks like they don't need our aid money anymore. And Praneet Sharma who says it shows the technological prowess of the country. Aid money does not change the fact that this is an achievement. Now, obviously our language services have been covering this today and in the run-up to it. And I'm joined now by Shalu, who's from BBC's Hindi service, and Howard from the BBC's Chinese service. Shalu, tell me, how have you been covering it, and what have people on the ground been saying to you?
Well, for Indian media, it's a big, big story, and it's been in the papers, on the telly, not just now, but since the beginning of October. So giving you a sense of how much it's been anticipated. And after the success of the moon mission in 2008, it gave a lot of fillip to the scientists, not just to the scientists, to the people, but also to the Indian media. So it's no surprise that Indian media is playing it really, really big. But if you talk about the people on the ground, I've just got to London from India just 2 days ago, and BBC did this program called Exchanges on the Frontier. It's a World Service radio program. People can find it online. And as part of that program, we spoke to a lot of youngsters there. So ranging from 10-year-olds to 25, 30-year-old people. And they were really, really hopeful. As you read one of the comments saying that, some of them echoed it, saying that we don't need any international help to make our scientific progress, scientific missions successful. So there is a lot of hope, there is a lot of confidence in Indian youngsters. But if you talk about general people, common people on the ground who are not much interested in science, probably they're not too interested in this story.
Now, we heard from the guest just before us that this is being sort of billed as an Asian space race. How is this playing out in China, Howard? What's the reaction
I'm glad
there?
you mentioned on that notice, because I was just checking on all the web reports and as well as the media reports in China. This event, India's launching of the Mars mission, is also widely reported in China, but most of the Chinese media, their point is somehow, why are we dragged into this? Because we're happy for India to launch this, but we were never in a race with India. We were still playing catch-up with the US, but in terms of launching capability and lots of other things, we're quite ahead of India. We're not quite in a race. So that was mainly the reaction from Chinese media. They sort of looked bemused, looking at the Western media. Who invented this story, saying we're in a race? That's the main angle from China.
There is no race.
Yeah.
We're ahead.
It's not quite saying that. So we're behind in certain fields, behind the US by maybe 20 years, behind the Russians by 10 years, but in terms of broad capabilities between China and India, we're still ahead. So in a sense, we're not quite in a race. And also India and China, as even the Indians chief for the space program has also mentioned, are sort of developing on slightly different trajectory, and the focus is like different. So the Chinese media just sort of mainly saying, okay, we really don't understand why we're dragged into this.
Just one last quick question to you, Charlotte. On our Facebook comments, one thing that did keep coming up was the fact that India has quite a disparity between rich and poor. There's a lot of poverty. Should India really be spending this sort of money on a space program now? Is this the best use of money? What are you hearing?
Well, it's fair enough to say that India has a lot of poor people, and that we don't have enough money to feed those people. But then there is other side to how science is progressing in India and how moon mission has been so successful. And a recent example was the cyclone Phylline that came in India. And just because we were so advanced in our science, we were able to prevent thousands of deaths. So that was one instance where people saw the importance of science as well. So you have a mixed opinion about how science and development should go hand in hand in India.
Well, a mixed opinion there, and the Chinese saying we're not in competition with China, with India, we're ahead already. Thank you so much for coming on, Shalu and Howard. And Lucy, we have to wait another 300 days before they'll assess whether it's been a success or not. It won't be till 2014. So until then, I guess it's watch this space.
Yeah, 300 more days of debating. Lebu, thanks very much for joining us from the World's Newsroom.